there, fantasy owners. LTC Fantasy here. Not sure if you're chiming in watching via YouTube or listening via podcast, but really do appreciate the watch or listen no matter how you're streaming the episode. Before we get started, do want to mention we do have a new partnership with 247clash.com. The link for them is in the description. So it's basically a pools type player versus player fantasy type game. It's pretty much made winnable for anyone there. It is fun and easy to play. I know I've made a little bit of money on it so far. So if you do go to www.247clash.com, when you get to the homepage, at the top of the homepage, you'll see a link on how to play. It's a quick 49-second video, I think all it is. You'll see how easy it is to play. And if you do decide to sign up and make a deposit, use referral code LTC, as hopefully you'll start winning some cash, and it'll also help to support this show. Do remember it is for Canadian residents at this time. So we'll get into the episode now. Today is our Week 17 strategy episode. So we're going to look at the week's schedule, break it down, find some advantages for you, hopefully suggest players to help strengthen your fantasy roster and get you those wins in your fantasy leagues. This week with the All-Star break, it is kind of a wonky week. There's 10 games of hockey spread over 14 days. And in those 10 days, actually, overall, teams are playing less in those 10 days than they normally do in a 7-game week. So some things to also note from the week is the only heavy night is really Saturday, February the 11th. There's 14 games. On the other 9 days of hockey, they range anywhere from 1 game to 7 games, so fairly light. So with that, also with a 2-game week for a number of teams, them being Boston, Buffalo, LA, Nashville, Ottawa, St. Louis, and Winnipeg. So quite a few teams. It's only a 2-game week, or 2-game 2 weeks, I guess, if you kind of want to look at it that way. And a 4-game week for 9 teams there. Those being Anaheim, Edmonton, Minnesota, the Islanders, the Rangers, Philadelphia, Seattle, Tampa Bay, and Vancouver. So basically, the advantage this week with so many light nights, normally you kind of focus on light nights, but 9 out of 10 nights are light nights. The real advantage is to stock up on players that have 4-game weeks there. Some things to note from the 4-game teams, though, is Anaheim and Seattle are the only 4-game teams to not play on that heavy Saturday. So a little bit of an advantage there because all their games are on the 9 light nights. Also, Edmonton is the only 4-game team not to get 3 games in before that heavy night. The rest of them get 3 games in and then the heavy night or the finishing Sunday there. Edmonton only gets 2 games in beforehand, so a little less of an advantage taking an Edmonton player there. Also, with the scheduling and it being spread over 2 weeks, our episodes will come out a little bit different over the next couple of weeks here. We will do our normal midweek waiver wire episode. It will come out on Wednesday as per usual on February the 1st there. And then our weekend ads episode, because it's All-Star weekend, nothing to cover, it won't come out till the following Thursday there on February the 9th. Other than that, let's basically get into it. Some Demon that have 4-game weeks, or 4-game 2 weeks, I guess. Do remember that Seattle and Anaheim, will cover those first. They don't play on that heavy night. And Edmonton is the only 4-game team that doesn't get 3 games in before that heavy night there. So we will start off in Anaheim. Look at John Klingberg, owned in 38% of Yahoo leagues. He plays second pairing, second power play unit. He has 4 points his last 9 games, with 16 shots on goal, 11 hits, and 12 blocks. There's no denying it. It is a down year, but with 4 games, he could bring value in some leagues. He's a little bit spurty, but he might get you a little bit of value depending how deep your league is there. Another one in Anaheim to look at is Cam Fowler. He's owned in 9% of Yahoo leagues. He plays top pairing, top power play unit. He's put up 7 points the last 4 games. That's a S-load of points over that short amount of time. And in those 4 games, he's also a +8 and has had 12 shots on goal. He is streaky, but he's hot right now. So with that, he kind of started out slow, that got hot, slow, now he's hot again. So with there being 4 games, might be an okay streamer for you next week. Over in Minnesota, look at Kalen Addison. He's owned in 10% of Yahoo leagues. He plays third pairing, that top power play unit in Minnesota there, and he has 8 points his last 11 games. And of those 8 points, 5 are on the power play there. So pretty good power play production. 18 shots on goal. With him, he is a little bit streaky, but he's good offensively. He has a lot of upside there. So with that, he should be a fairly good option in your scoring leagues. Going over to the Islanders, possibly look at Sebastian Aho. Not the one from Carolina, the one that's kind of forgotten about. The D-man for the Islanders, really forgotten about. 0% owned, but he plays third pairing on the second power play unit right now. And he has 4 points his last 6 games with 10 shots on goal and 13 blocks. He's getting more opportunity with Dobson listed day to day and missing some games here. Overall, he is streaky, but with the added opportunity of Dobson still out, if you're in a real deep league, that's where you might look at adding Aho on the back end there. For the Rangers, look at Keandre Miller, owned in 55% of Yahoo leagues. He plays second pairing, second power play unit there. He's been pointless the last 3 games, but before that he put up 9 points over a 7-game stretch. He's been pretty good the last month other than these last few games there, but even in those games, he gets you a lot of blocks, lots of hits, decent amount of shots on goal. So with that, should be a fairly safe streaming option, especially with a 4-game week. Over in Philadelphia, possibly look at Rasmus Ristolainen, owned in 6% of Yahoo leagues. He plays third pairing in Philly there, and he has 5 points his last 6 games with 12 hits and 7 blocks in those 6 games. He's been good of late. Overall, his time in Philly, he has struggled, but you got to remember, he was pretty good in Buffalo there. So you kind of see a glimpse over these last 6 games. Are you getting the Ristolainen? You're hopefully, realistically, you're just hoping he stretches it out for another 4 games for you. But there is some untapped potential there with Ristolainen in Philly. It's just a matter of how long it's going to last. So I would leave it for deeper leagues because he hasn't been overall that good in Philly. But do remember there is some potential there. Another one in Philly's Ivan Provorov, owned in 40% of Yahoo leagues. He plays the top pairing in Philly, and he has points in 3 straight games. And in those 3 games, he's also had 8 blocks in there. He's had a really long dry spell, but it looks like it's ended with points in 3 straight there. He's pretty dependable in the blocks department, gets an okay amount of shots on goal. Hits, they kind of go in spurts. He gets you a lot, then he gets you nothing, and then he gets you a lot, gets you nothing. But he seems to be heating up, and with it being a 4-game week, depending how your league is formatted, Provorov might be an okay option for you. Going over to Tampa Bay, possibly look at Nick Perbix. 0% owned, so available everywhere there. He plays on the second pairing. He's put up 4 points his last 4 games with 5 hits and 4 blocks. So he's been on a roll of late. He does not get very much ice time there. That's where the risk comes in. So with a lack of ice time comes limited opportunity, so he is risky. But for a real deep league, if you're in a pinch and you got an injury or you just need to add somebody just to gain on those man games played, Perbix might be able to help you out there. Another one in Tampa is Eric Chernak. He's only owned in 5% of Yahoo leagues. He plays the third pairing in Tampa there. He has 3 points his last 9 games, so not the greatest production, but not no production. But in those 9 games, he has 30 hits and 15 blocks. Like we kind of alluded to, his offense is limited, so don't count on it. But he's fairly good, actually really good in hits and blocks there. So in certain formats, he will be a decent streamer, especially in your Cats leagues, depending what Cats are counted there. Similar in Vancouver, look at Luke Shen, owned in 54% of Yahoo leagues. Plays second pairing for the Canucks there, and he has 6 points his last 10 games, so a little over half point per game. But in those 10 games, 56 hits. So if hits are counted in your league, you're definitely going to want to take a stab at Shen if he's available. Also in those 10 games, 8 blocks, so decent amount of blocks there. His offense is sporadic, but it does come occasionally. That's what makes him a little more attractive in your Cats leagues there, because you'll get a little bit more offense than some of the other hits and block specialists there. But as I alluded to, he gets a ton of hits, nice amount of blocks, so he obviously be awesome for a banger league and pretty good in a Cats league there. Before we do get into the next segment, do want to ask you, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do so, as we're trying to grow it. Hopefully you're getting some decent value out of these episodes and hopefully strengthen your fantasy roster. And please, if you don't mind, do subscribe. So now we'll move along to some forwards that have 4 games next week. Do remember, Seattle and Anaheim, they're the only 4-game team that doesn't play on that heavy Saturday there. And Edmonton is the only team that doesn't get 3 of their 4 games in before that heavy Saturday. So we'll start off in Anaheim again. Look at Adam Henrique, listed as center left winger, owned in 11% of Yahoo leagues. He's playing top line, top power play unit there. He currently has 9 points in a 7-game point streak there. 2 of those points being on the power play, with 17 shots on goal and 4 blocks. It's been really hot of late. Hopefully this continues for you into next week, and he'd be a pretty nice option with having 4 games there. Another one in Anaheim's Ryan Strome, listed as a center, owned in 6% of Yahoo leagues. He plays second line, second power play unit there, and he has 4 points his last 6 games, so not bad production. He is streaky, so with that comes some risk, but if you're in a real deep scoring league, he might be a streaming option for you. Another one in Anaheim's Frank Vatrano, listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 4% of Yahoo leagues there. He's playing third line, second power play unit, and he has 6 points his last 5 games with 18 shots on goal, 7 hits, and 3 blocks. With that, Vatrano's been really streaky this year. He gets you little pockets of nice production, then he disappears. So he is quite streaky, so there is some risk in there. But he's been better over the last 4 games there, or been better over the last few games, should say. And with a 4-game week, depending how your league is formatted and how deep it is, might be an okay option for you. Another over to Seattle now. Look at Matty Beniers potentially, listed as a center, owned in 50% of Yahoo leagues. He plays top line, top power play unit there. He's been pointless the last 5 games, so a little bit of a dry spell there. But before that, he had 11 games over a 7-game stretch. He did leave the last game, so he is listed day to day, so do check on his status. But if he is available, he gets points in bunches. You're just hoping it's his 4-game bunch there, maybe even longer. You might keep him for a few weeks there, but he has really good offensive upside, so it could be a decent option as long as he's available. Another one in Seattle's Andre Burakovsky, listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 42% of Yahoo leagues. He plays top line, top power play unit, and he has 11 points the last 10 games. And on those 11 points, 4 have been on the power play, so pretty nice power play production there. Overall, it's been a pretty nice offensive season for him. A little bit of in and out lately with an injury here and there, but he'd be a really great option for you in a scoring league. Another one in Seattle is Ryan Donato, listed as a left winger, only owned in 1% of Yahoo leagues. He's playing on the second line right now, and he has 4 goals and 1 assist in a 3-game point streak, so really nice production there in that short amount of runway. And in those 3 games, also a +5, 9 shots on goal there. He is kind of hit and miss this year. He has long dry spells, but right now he is on a roll of late, so he could be an all-right, real deep league option. I'm not going to take my chances in a standard league, as there's probably more consistent options, but if you're in a real deep league, that's where you might take a chance on Donato. Another one in Seattle's Jared McCann, listed as center left winger, owned in 22% of Yahoo leagues. He plays second line, second power play unit there. And he has 11 points over his last 12 games. And in those 12 games, he's a +5, has 3 power play points, and 26 shots on goal there. He's been fairly consistent of late. I do like consistency there. So with that, he should be an okay option in most formats for you. Over for the Islanders, look at Brock Nelson, listed as a center, owned in 63% of Yahoo leagues, plays second line, second power play unit, and he has points in 4 straight games, and in those 4 games, also has 12 shots on goal. He's been heating back up. He did have quite the dry spell there, but do remember, he is a proven scorer as well. So with him heating back up, the way he can put the puck in the net, should be a really nice option with having 4 games this week. Another one for the Islanders to possibly look at is Anders Lee, listed as a left winger, owned in 54% of Yahoo leagues. He's playing second line up on the top power play unit there, and he has 3 points the last 3 games with 6 shots on goal. He's been really streaky the last while. He was really hot to start, then he got cold, then had a little hot spell, then dry spell. Now he seems to be okay. But with the streakiness of late, there is some risk, so be a little hesitant on him, but he does have talent. So with him, he's kind of a love-hate option. You're either going to love him or going to hate him. He can be frustrating, but he might turn out to really reward you too. Another one for the Islanders possibly is Kyle Palmieri, listed as a right winger, owned in 4% of Yahoo leagues. He plays second line and on that first power play unit. He has points in 2 straight games since coming back from injury there, with 6 shots on goal and 10 hits. I know it's not a lot the last couple of games, but he should be a good option in your deeper leagues there. For the Rangers, maybe look at Alexis Lafreniere. Sorry, butchered that last name. Sorry there, Alex. Listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 18% of Yahoo leagues, plays on the third line, second power play unit, and he has 4 points in a 3-game point streak there. And in those 3 games, he's +4, has 6 shots on goal and 7 hits. He is really hit and miss, but been better of late. The last few games, last couple of weeks, actually, you had pocket point there. Could be an okay option in your deeper leagues. Another one to possibly look at for the Rangers is Philip Chittle, listed as center right winger, owned in 12% of Yahoo leagues. He plays on that third line, second power play unit there, and he has 11 points over his last 10 games. And in those 10 games, he's +6, has 3 power play points, 29 shots on goal, and 6 blocks. So spreads it around in different categories. He's been really good the last while and should be a solid option, especially in your Cats leagues there. Another one for the Rangers to look at is Capo Caco, listed as a right winger, owned in 4% of Yahoo leagues. He plays third line, second power play unit, and he has 5 points his last 4 games. He is streaky, so he is risky there, but better recently. He could be an okay option in real deep scoring leagues. Needs to be a real deep league, as there's probably better options ahead of him there. Over in Philly, maybe look at Morgan Frost, listed as center left winger, owned in 5% of Yahoo leagues there. Plays top line, top power play unit, and he has 4 points the last 6 games with 14 shots on goal and 10 hits in there. He's been better of late, and he can be an okay option for deeper leagues since he does have a 4-game week. Another one in Philly to maybe look at is Kevin Hayes. He's listed as center left winger now, owned in 47% of Yahoo leagues, playing third line, top power play unit. He has 8 points the last 6 games, so pretty good production there. 3 of those points being on the power play and 25 shots on goal. Overall, he's had a really good season, so he's almost a must-stream if he is available in your leagues. Another one to maybe look at in Philly, Scott Lawton there, listed as center left winger, owned in 36% of Yahoo leagues, plays third line, second power play unit. It's been pointless the last 3 games, but he did put up 8 points over the previous 6. He's slowed down a bit, but he's also, even in those last 3 games, he's still good at shots on goal, hits, and blocks there. So you should get nice value in a Cats league for sure. Possibly a scoring league, as he did come off a really good streak there, and that line has been rolling over the last month or so, if you do decide to stream him. Over in Tampa Bay, maybe look at Alex Killorn, listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 24% of Yahoo leagues. He's playing second line, second power play unit there, and he has 8 points over his last 8 games. In those 8 games, has 16 shots on goal and 4 blocks. It's been good the last few weeks. He's on a deep Tampa team. Kind of is a little bit streaky at times, but just how deep Tampa is, he's on a bit of a roll. Should get pretty decent value with having a 4-game week out of him. Over in Vancouver, look at Brock Besser, listed as a right winger, owned in 44% of Yahoo leagues, playing top line, second power play unit there, and he has 6 points his last 9 games, and in those 9 games has 21 shots on goal and 7 blocks. He has fairly decent offense overall, so over 4 games, he should be an okay streaming option with having in your scoring leagues. Another one in Vancouver is Andrei Kuzmenko, listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 53% of Yahoo leagues. He plays second line, top power play unit there. Just signed that nice extension. He has 11 points the last 11 games, and in those 11 games, 23 shots on goal. He definitely gets his points, so be an excellent streamer for scoring leagues if he is available there. Over in Edmonton, maybe look at Matthias Janmark, listed as left winger, right winger, 0% owned, so owned nowhere. Plays on that second line, and he has 4 points the last 5 games that he's played there. And in those 5 games, he's been +6 with 14 shots on goal. He's been good on that line with Nuge and Costin there, and should be an okay streamer in your deep leagues. There's probably a lot better options ahead of him, but if you're in deep leagues, Janmark could be an option. So could Costin on that line. That's another one to possibly look at there. Should have mentioned him too. But that's it for today's episode. If you are watching YouTube, do remember to hit like, hit subscribe, remember that notification bell. If you're listening via podcast, remember to hit that heart, hit follow, hit subscribe, depending what platform you're watching it on. If you haven't checked it out already, do remember to check out www.247clash.com. Do click on that link on how to play, see how easy it is there. And if you do decide to sign up and make a deposit, do use referral code LTC, as that will help out this show here. And good luck there, fantasy owners, and we'll talk to you soon.